of the Sumner County Library Trustee Board. This is our special call meeting. We will be speaking to our agenda today. I do have a sign-up sheet. If you wish to speak to something on the agenda, you may sign up. So the first thing we're going to do is have our invocation by Diane Johnson.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we pray for unity in our meeting today. We have come together as a group united in passion and purpose for the goal of strengthening our libraries and community. Pray for open hearts and minds that will promote and accept better solutions for all. Dear God, we seek your honor in everything we do and say, so lift up this meeting to you, be in our midst, and bind our hearts and minds by your Holy Spirit. Amen.
Thank you. We will entertain a motion to approve our agenda for today, and then we will continue on with the business today. Joanna makes a motion to approve the agenda. Do I have Jody second?
And we're approving both agendas.
Well, I have from when this special call meeting agenda, and then we're going to go now to recognition of the public, and then we will look at the minutes from the budget and the bylaw meetings that we've had since January. Okay, recognition of the public. I have Lauren with me who would like to address the board.
All right, so I've presented a letter, and it's right here on the table if y'all want to pass it down. It was also emailed to the library board today. I'm speaking on behalf of Westmoreland Library. We are currently fully staffed, but we are in need of another full-time position. We struggle every time that we have to provide sick days or holiday hours or vacations, and it's not fair to our staff, it's not fair to our public that we need an extra hand in there. It also, in this letter, talks about how we have grown significantly since I started in December of 2021. Our programming has shot up over 100%. The number of programs has shot up nearly 186%. We are growing by leaps and bounds, and I want to continue that growth. I want to continue that outreach because we are a worthy and viable community here in this county, and I want to be able to provide quality service for my patrons, for my community. And this position that I'm asking for, we'll be working on continuing that outreach even more. We'll be working with our children's librarians part-time and also creating programming for adults and for older patrons and working with our schools and our rehab centers and stuff like that. And I'm not asking for this because I just want it. Because I'm just like, oh, that sounds nice. It's something that I've thought long and hard about for the past several months, and I just would love you all to keep your minds open as you're discussing payroll transfers that you would be allowing us to have that position.
Thank you. Before we have anyone else speak, I do have a statement I need to read. This was released on all of the websites for the library, and it was on the county website as well. And I'll read the statement to explain the language that was used on the agenda for today that has been revised. Prior to August of 2021, the libraries of Sumner County operated 5 independent libraries under Sumner County's direction. August 2021, the libraries were united under a single system of management with an executive director in place. The library board is examining options to transfer funds from a one-system account and return it to the former system, allowing each individual director to return to managing its own budget. So we call it the system because it was one system, hence the way it was listed on the agenda. Sumner County libraries are a valuable asset to our county. The item on the Budget Committee agenda has been revised to read, discussion to restore the libraries to the former organization of independent libraries of Sumner County. So that's what we hope will answer some of the questions. Okay, now, we'll go on to our public recognition. And after you all have spoken, before we approve the minutes of the other meetings, we will introduce ourselves. We have one new member, and we will introduce ourselves, so you all will be able to put names to faces. Hillary Louder.
Yes, my question is about the minutes from the Budget Committee meeting, the last meeting. At the end of the meeting, like about the last 20 or 30 minutes, there was some discussion between Mr. Morales and members of the board, with him expressing a need to be able to make requests from you guys, and you guys be advocates versus kind of dealing with the day-to-day going-ons of the library. But when I looked at the minutes, I did not see that, so I wasn't sure if there was a reason they were left out, or if possibly that was just an oversight.
It must have been an oversight, or it might have been one of those, just general discussions or whatever. I will clarify what you were talking about with day-to-day operations. We operate under the Red Reef Regional Library system, and also under the state, and in their bylaws and the things we have to abide by, theirs, we do not get involved in day-to-day operations. So the library directors are able to make those day-to-day decisions on their own. Does that help?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, Charlena Miller? Miller.
Hi, thank you. I live at 143 Rolling Circle, Hendersonville, Tennessee, 37075. And I'm here to talk about the item on the agenda, but I also noticed that you guys don't have any email addresses, because I was going to try to reach out and communicate with you. And so I don't know how to get information to you guys, or anybody, public comments to you guys outside of public comments at this meeting. That said, I support dissolving the library system, and what I saw in the current budget is there's more than $200,000 assigned to this library system, the centralization of it, and I would just like to make sure that it makes sense that would go back to the individual libraries, since that's where it came from, but I have heard some concerns that, like Millersville and Westmoreland, they have been able to get adequate money for performers and for prizes for summer reading to promote reading amongst an economically disadvantaged area regularly. So the concern is just to try to ensure that those needs are still met, because they don't have a really strong Friends organization. And I'm not saying that the Friends should be supplementing. I'm in Hendersonville, so I understand all the balances that you guys have to make. But I support the dissolving of it, right? And I think it's a smart move. Thank you.
Okay. Now, before we get started, we are going to go around and introduce ourselves. I'm Jackie Wilbur. I'm the chairman of the library board. I've been on this board, I think, since 2018, maybe a little bit before that. And these are my people. I'm a retired school librarian, so I absolutely love this board. I love what these directors do, and yes, they have all 5 libraries have my full support to do what they can to reach out to their public.
Beverly Hyde, I live in Hendersonville, Tennessee. I'm a retired school counselor. This is my first rodeo, so to speak, for the library board, and I'm really enjoying it. It's a great group, and we have awesome directors.
My name is Joanna Daniels. I'm in Hendersonville, and this is my first rodeo at a library board. But I did work in a library in college, and spent many hours in the library all my life. So I think that we have a great group here.
My name is Debbie Martin, and I live in Hendersonville as well. I still work outside the home. I work in state government, and this is my first board. So I knew it all then.
I'm Diane Johnson. I had a career in the financial industry for 30 years, and then I felt like I needed a new career, so I worked in the library as a director for a number of years, and then left, and now I'm on the library board. I'm on the budget committee and as treasurer of this library board. So it's very important to me that we do support our libraries very adequately. Sumner County, I think, does a good job of supporting the libraries, and it's up to the board to make sure that's nicely divided among all the libraries. And they are an absolute integral part of every community. Every community is very different, so every library is very unique in the way that they serve their library. But it is very, very important. So we're glad to hear.
Hi, I'm Ruth Fennell. This is my first meeting on the library board. My background pretty much comes from a corporate environment. So I have been in the training and adult education capacity since 1990. So I've worked for Capital One, USAA Insurance, Century 21, multiple venues, coming at this from both trying to be efficient with dollars, just like I would in the corporate world, but also looking to serve the customers. And the customers are the citizens of Gallatin, the customers are the directors and their staff. We have internal and external customers, and we're trying to find that balance of making sure that everybody gets what they need, and looking forward to helping. So thank you guys for letting me hear. I also have a master's in adult education and minor in psychology and women's studies, so I'm kind of all over the map, but thanks for having me. And I appreciate you guys coming here and taking your time on Wednesday afternoon to be here and show your interest, so thank you.
So my name is Cecilia Maynor. I represent the regional library system, which is an extension of the state library. So I'm not actually on the board here, but I come to all of these meetings and support the board and the libraries as much as I can.
Betsy, I'm from Portland, retired school librarian, also taught United States history for quite a few years as well. Love the library, love our libraries, and completely support our library, each one of our 105 libraries, and as a board member to support and make them the very best that they can be for each community that they serve.
I am Mary Beth Drury. I work formerly in 2 of the county's libraries, and I represent Millersville currently.
Thank you. On our email, we all have county email addresses, and I think that's just a matter of getting someone post, where our names are. You can click on my name like you do other places, and we can get those addresses. That's just a minor thing that we can get fixed, but thank you for pointing that out. Okay, now moving on to the business, I need a motion for the approval of the minutes from the budget committee meeting, and I'm going to add the minutes from our bylaws committee meeting as well, because both committees have met and they do have minutes to give. Diane, and we'll make the motion, and Joanna Daniels will second that motion. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay. On to new business. The new business came out of the budget committee and the bylaws committee. So, approval of the budget transfers from the library system that are non-payroll. And, we sent those out. We have copies. We have discussed those. Does anyone have any, with the motion is on the floor, any discussion? And these are the non-payroll. These are the ones. Yes, these have been, they were passed in the budget committee. They came out of the budget committee and they were passed. So what we need to do is the entire board needs to pass this. So, and I have sent them, and I think they're in that pending file. If we pass it today, it will go.
It will go through, because the money is still sitting in the system account.
And the budget committee meets Monday night, so it should be addressed there and be able to move forward. Okay.
And these items are all the ones that basically each library turned in that they needed. I did have to shift some of the things of where they came from out of the system, because we had that that emergency transfer for Westmoreland. So this is the revised copy, but it's basically what you all asked for to get through the remainder of 2023 fiscal year.
And once this is passed, correct me if I'm, once this is passed, then they will be able, and it goes through budget and the commission meeting, they'll be able to transfer.
Yeah, and I don't even think it's going to commission,
You
David,
don't?
going,
Just
because
go
these are
through the budget.
non-payroll.
Yeah.
And once we agree and we approve them, then finance will just put them through,
We'll start doing it.
because they're non-payroll.
Okay. I will entertain a motion that we agree to send this to finance with our blessing. Yes. We've got the motions on the floor yet.
For discussion, right? Okay. I just want to make sure that this involves anything that's non-payroll, like there's nothing left in there, like not even a penny.
Yeah, no, and that was the intent. Now, in
Okay.
case there was something lagging with a emergency transfer or something actually got, when I was over at finance about a week ago, they asked me about travel. And I said, go ahead and post it to the libraries themselves, even if it puts them in the negative, because once these transfers go through, they'll get back into the positive. So this should zero every line in the system account that's non-payroll.
And I think they have started doing that. I have not signed off on any emergency transfers.
Right, so,
In a couple of, I think since we met.
right, and so if there is a little bit of money left for whatever reason, I'll just tell them to give it to Gallatin under electricity. And they can take anything else and put it there.
That is going to be an
To
issue.
get it to zero.
Okay, because Gallatin, even after these transfers, will be in a negative for electricity.
No, they won't, but they asked for a little bit more, and we didn't have it.
Okay, and that's because of,
Just the way the system, what was left.
no. They're asking for more money in Gallatin because of the price
Right.
hike in
Right, they got a big chunk of it, but they were a few $100s short of what they asked for. So, and also, if once we get down the line a couple more months, and you guys see that you want to switch money from one line item to another, if it's non-payroll related, you guys can do that, just like normal, okay? And get yourself through. So, I know it's hard to judge when we're trying to have a line in the sand and try to divide everything out, but it's okay. Finance knows that there may be some additional adjustments, so don't worry that if you guessed wrong, we can always switch it, as long as you still have money in your budget somewhere to pay for it.
Okay.
But it'll zero it.
And just curious, do you know how much was the difference between, for Gallatin's electricity, do you know how much it was? Like, are they?
Well, they're not negative yet.
Oh,
They
okay.
were just projecting what the bills coming might be.
Oh,
Okay,
okay.
because we've seen a spike.
Okay.
Just like we've seen a spike personally, the libraries are experiencing a spike, so everybody tried to estimate what those expenses might be.
Okay.
Now, if we have 80-degree weather suddenly.
Right, I was going to say,
then
the
we're
mild
gonna,
winter
You know, we keep
has
it,
been a blessing in disguise.
you know, then we'll be okay. So it's kind of a,
Okay. I just wanted I like to know, like, what their possible deficit is, just so I know, like,
We don't
what their
know.
needs might be.
we're basing it on what's been the first 6-7 months. And trying to estimate what it'll be going through the rest of 2023. I think there's probably, for some of the libraries, there is a little bit of negativity maybe in travel, and there might be some in data processing, but those will all get fixed with these transfers.
Okay.
Okay. Do I hear a vote by voice to approve these non-payroll transfers? All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Okay. Now we're going on to the discussion of the payroll transfers. And that's where, in your packet, we have the presentation from Lauren, and she has given us a breakdown of the needs for the extra position there. And, Diane, do you want me to read this statement?
No, I can do it.
Okay.
The Budget Committee has had lots of discussions about how to dissolve the payroll that's left in the budget system, or in the library system. And so with the potential of the library system, you have, the directors have this report, becoming 5 independent libraries. The funding will continue in large part from Sumner County government, like it's always been. The budgets will be approved by Sumner County Budget Committee. In each city that the library is in, we don't expect that there'll be any change, but they'll still continue to give money to the library. It's not the same for every city, because the libraries and cities are very different in size. But those contributions from the cities will continue. As Jackie said earlier, when the library system was created in August of 2021, it was not approved or funded by the county commission. Therefore, funds were taken from each library to cover payroll. There were 3 new full-time staff that was added, plus some non-payroll expenses. This is now the perfect opportunity to reevaluate the staffing model for each library. The patrons of Hendersonville have been begging for at least the last 10 years to be open on a Friday. Hendersonville is the fastest growing city in all of Sumner County. They do over 50% of all of the volume of the libraries put together. There's at least 10 new residential communities that will be served, either they're already under construction or they have been approved, and those communities will be serviced by the Hendersonville Public Library. We have spoken to Alan Morales, the director of the Hendersonville Public Library, and he has had many conversations in his tenure at Hendersonville to find a way to be open on a Friday. The documentation that is attached will prove that we can expand these hours on a Friday. Additionally, each library will be given some additional part-time funding because all of your communities are growing. Sumner County is one of the fastest growing counties in Middle Tennessee, and we want you all to share in some of those resources as well. So what you have attached, and I do want to make a caveat, that the dollar figures that you see here, when we actually send them to the Budget Committee with the county, that will be the second Monday in March, these figures might be slightly different because of payroll for one position that is still in the system for right now. So these figures may be slightly different, but this will give you a good idea of what we're trying to accomplish. On the next page, this will show where, for the remaining payroll of 2023, that it will take all the payroll out of the system and it will move it to Hendersonville. Why Hendersonville? Because they're going to be open on a Friday as we move forward. Because of a large amount of turnover that has happened in the libraries this past year, there is some slush, if you want to say it. They do watch our MOE with the libraries, so we figured we'd just dump it all in one library right now. Alan can go ahead and start hiring people for the Friday expansion, and we will put it there. On the next page, you will see the redistribution of the library funds for an entire year of 2024. What that will look like is Hendersonville will have 2 new full-time positions. They will have 3 part-time positions, plus the $600 for the note taker, that for regular board meetings, we pay a note taker to take our notes. That's a very common position in this county, that for large board meetings, you have a note taker. It's very hard in a regular board meeting for someone to be an active board member and try to take notes. So we have that in there. I know when the directors got together initially, when the executive director was still here and the system was going on, some of you, such as Millersville and Westmoreland, were giving some of your part-time salary to another library. Those dollars are not going to transfer. Those dollars are not going to leave your budget. You are keeping those. And what will happen under this dissolving of the library system for a full year is that in addition to the money that Hendersonville will get to expand for Friday hours, Westmoreland will get $12,667. That's on top of the $7,800 that you were willing to give away. So that will, what's the other one, $7,800?
That was it, I'm sorry.
That's what
So
we're
that was the original.
Uh-huh.
Thank you.
Yes. So that will give you $20,000 that you can have in part-time help. Full-time help is very, very expensive because it comes with a lot of benefits that really elevates that cost for a full-time person. Portland will get another part-time person. Gallatin will get $8,000 to even out, because I know that you're losing a full-time person, so that'll give you back some money for part-time. And then Millersville will get some money in addition to what you were going to initially give away. I do not have any money here, a title for the retirement system, medical or dental, because those numbers are going to have to come from finance. But this is the spread that we have put together for payroll only. On the next sheet is a change for the librarians, and this sheet for $10,328.50 is transferring the one position, Gabby, that you had that was going over to Alan, and so I figured 3.5 months, because this has to get approved the middle of March, and then that transfer can get made. The other thing that
We have items on this that are library to library. Are we gonna address my raise?
It is on the agenda already for Monday night, and it was approved in January. So it's not it will not be voted on in this packet, because it's already on the agenda.
Right, that was addressed in January. The thing that I want to mention here with Alan, in his new, the last page talks about his new staffing for a Friday expansion. It has two full-time positions. One is an administrative support, and one is a technology specialist. Susan, I know you wonder how this is going to affect you. With dissolving the system, we are truly dissolving it. However, there is a position at Hendersonville that's administrative support. Okay, that is certainly something that you can apply for. I think you would be very good at that position. However, I want to say to everyone that as we move forward, the directors should be solely responsible for their payroll. Okay? That doesn't mean that we have to have an extra person checking things. As far as what you were doing with budgets, that's now coming back to the library board in the budget committee. As far as invoices, this new administrative support person will be paying invoices for Alan. It will be up to Alan whether or not he wants to support the rest of the libraries with that position. But this new position is going to require a lot of extra duties. It's going to require invoice processing. It's going to take, as we envision it, and having library experience with Betsy and I, we look at it as having a person that's managing all the volunteers, reaching out and getting more volunteers to come into the library, bringing back the customer service or customer community service workers. They were great at helping to clean the building. You guys are only now being cleaned once a week. Being open 6 days a week is not enough. So we'll probably also need to look at that contract for cleaning and try to add an extra day of cleaning for Hendersonville. Some of the other libraries may not need it, but Hendersonville definitely needs to be cleaned more than once a week. It would also involve assisting in developing new programs, reaching out to the community in looking at new partnerships, and then filling in, helping Alan when he's got to go to a meeting or he's off on vacation, along with the operations manager. The technology specialist would be a person that would do social media, so that would do all the social media, would do, be the liaison between IT and the library, teach technology classes, assist patrons with public computers, and assist the staff with other community or other computer issues as well within the library. So that's just a very, very brief description of those two, but once these payroll adjustments are made and approved at the budget meeting, the county budget meeting, then Alan, I think you need to get busy. I have also spoken to Mayor Clary, and I explained to him that the county did a salary survey and had given the libraries extra money this past year, but because of dissolving the system, we now have money to be open on Fridays. And he said that he thought that they could also contribute the original amount that we had talked about. So that will also pay for some of your, if you need to, bump up some people's hours. If you're going to need some extra money for electricity and water, those things are going to go up because, not overly significantly, but they will go up because you're open another day. So that money from the city will help. He's going to call me back in a couple of days once he can meet with his folks and we can get that fully agreed upon. So that will also help.
May I ask?
Yes.
Some of the statements you made are not things that we had discussed, so I don't mean to sound insubordinate or anything, but ma'am, are you saying those are things that you would like to see happen, or is that what you're telling me that the board is saying will happen?
That's the proposal on the table.
For staffing, or, because you mentioned some other things that might be assigned, and we didn't. Again, I'm going to defer to the board because the board is my boss, but I'm just trying to seek clarification, because you mentioned stuff like community service, which we no longer offer, and there's a reason for that, not just simply for staffing purposes. Is that a requirement?
No, it's not a requirement, but it was a huge plus for the community, and it was also a huge plus for the library, and with you being open an extra day, I would like to see you consider bringing it back, because that was a big value to the library in helping to keep it clean and helping to keep the bookshelves organized. So I would like you to consider it, but no, we're not. It's a suggestion.
Okay, thank you.
That was the discussion part. In order to discuss it further, I'd like to get a motion on the table to look at it, discuss it, and then decide if we want to vote on it. So,
Motion to discuss it further.
okay, and Debbie said. Yeah. Okay, I did have a question, and you answered it partially, and that was the offer from Hendersonville
Yes.
to donate. And I understood at one point in time that they were willing to put that in their budget yearly
Yes,
and continue
Yes.
that.
yes.
At one point, our county commission rejected that.
Right.
What's going to change?
Nothing. Because of the salary survey,
Right.
and because we're dissolving the system, because of the executive director's salary, we can
Put that money
put that
back.
money back.
And we don't need them.
I feel like, when I talked to Mayor Clary, I said that I thought the county had already done their part, when that was the result of the salary survey. And that we had money, by dissolving the system, we now had money to move things around and make this work that they gave us, Hendersonville gave us their part.
Okay. Joanna?
A few questions.
Okay.
one, to come off that, what was the original amount? I just want to make sure, was it 15,000?
For Hendersonville?
Yeah, so 20,000, okay.
So it'd be 4,000,
What'd you say?
it'd be $5,000 a quarter,
Okay.
because they pay it quarterly.
Okay, all right, so,
And that's in addition to the 50,000 that they give us annually.
okay. Okay, so, a lot of questions here. All right, so, with the money that is going into Hendersonville, so on the first page, go through all this here. So, we're getting rid of the bookkeeper, director, part-time, other salaries, all the stuff, and this is what is going into Hendersonville, this 95,000?
Yes, but part of that is benefits.
Okay.
It's not all payroll.
Okay, and it's benefits for, new salaries,
Right.
positions, correct? Okay, so.
Yeah, we're basically just transferring it out of what's left in the system
Okay.
and transferring it over. Now, if finance says, no, you know, that we don't have quite that much left anymore, it's a lower amount, then they'll fix it.
Okay,
That's what I said originally, that by the time they get to do this, the numbers might be slightly different.
okay. So $95,927 is going into Hendersonville on the
Yes.
first page, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
And I don't know why that didn't add up perfectly, but it costs by a couple dollars.
Okay, yeah.
$4, I don't know why. Maybe I typed something wrong.
Okay.
It's gonna change anyway.
Okay.
Oh,
On the second one, okay. Now, with all of this bid money now going to the directors, now they have to pay their invoices, correct? All right, so,
Unless Alan's agreeable to take the admin support person and continue to have that person pay them.
okay. So, here's my few things here. You know, the $600 for us, I just want to make sure that, one, that's still $600 being taken away from the library. We would have to make sure that Hendersonville is okay with that.
Well, it's coming out of the system account.
And
It
that,
would be given to Hendersonville.
okay, so we would have to, well, again, if we're dissolving the system, it's to give back the library every single cent that came out of the system.
Right.
Okay, right. So, again, $600 is still $600. And so I want to make sure that since it is going into the Hendersonville budget, that he's going to be okay with that. Because also, one, that $600 that is not going to be given back to the library is now going to be given for us, to have a note taker. Right. Two, now that he's going to have to be paying the invoices, I want to make sure he is okay with taking on that responsibility, because it might be a little responsibility, it's still a responsibility, okay? They didn't have before.
No, but prior to the system, the directors always had that responsibility.
I get that. However, paying for a note taker was not his responsibility, because that wasn't part of their budget.
So that came on with the system.
Correct.
And I talked to finance, and I said, how does the other committees, the boards, and she said, well, some of the boards have a budget.
Correct.
Like, but we don't have a budget.
We don't have a budget, and so again, for the purity of getting rid of the system and to saying, hey, we're giving the library every single penny that came out of it.
Right.
I just want to confirm that he is going to be okay with that and that it'll be okay. But we're not talking right now. Right now, we're trying to discuss.
Right.
Okay. So,
Also, this is just until the end of this budget year. That's a decision that will have to be made next
Yeah, but once
budget year.
this budget goes through, because this is for the whole fiscal year.
Right.
So once these numbers get added to each library's budget, And I put them on this sheet just so that you could all see where the money.
Let me finish my question, because if not, we're not gonna get this done, okay? So, once again, $600, he needs to be okay with that, because now it's his responsibility as a director to pay it, and he has to be okay with the $600 not going back into his budget. That's one. Two, the monies that are going to Hendersonville, the two new full-time positions.
Right.
But in all honesty, those two new full-time positions aren't really what he asked for, and it's really not something that is to benefit him, because the admin support is, you said to pay invoices, but then you just said a second ago that that was the director's job to do it, but now we're gonna give him money to hire an admin to do that job. And then, that admin can now possibly do it for all the rest of the library, so that really honestly looks like to me that you're basically taking a bookkeeper out of the system, but putting it in Hendersonville, and saying, hey, if you guys want to, then use this person, okay? So, and then, the technology specialist, I mean, I don't recall him asking for a technology specialist either. And that, okay, well, a lot of this is Hendersonville heavy, and I'm in Hendersonville, and I like Hendersonville, but I'm going, hold on a second, Hendersonville, one, gets the majority of the money already.
They do, and they do over 50% of all of the volume, and they're gonna be the only library open 6 days a week.
Okay, and I get that, and please, like, you know so much about this, you remember that, and I get it, and I get jokes, but, I also just need to understand it, and so, and then the technology specialist, so, you know, social media, I don't know it's a 40-hour-a-week thing, because I do social media. And I know there's all kinds of things you can, like, put up things, you know, and everything like that. But I also know that in the system, there was someone that did the social media for all of the libraries. So is this another one of dissolving a system, creating technologies, and then saying, hey, all the other libraries can use this person, but we're going to put it in Hendersonville's budget?
No. Okay, I'll say no, but let me give you. This person is for Hendersonville. Now, these duties are just the bare minimum of what these people will do. Okay, just an example. Sure. Okay, but if somebody calls from Westmoreland or Millersville and says, hey, we're trying to do this, can you help us? Sure. I mean, we all continue to help each other, but that person's not going to travel around to every library and help do things. I mean, they could help over the phone, they could have that person come to them and get a little training session so that they can get better at their skills. But it's a Hendersonville employee.
Okay, so when we interview for this person, and we say, hey, you work at Hendersonville, but if the other 4 libraries call you and ask for help, we're kind of expecting you to help them?
Yes. Why not?
Why not? Okay.
I mean, it's all for one and one for all.
Yeah, right, as long as they really feel that that's okay. And then, now my question here is so then if Hendersonville goes, hey, you know what, we need more time, and Westmoreland, even though Westmoreland isn't really, it's not in their budget, and that this really is our employee, but hey, you know what, we need to take more time now, and sorry, Westmoreland can't help you as much as you can, as you need it, or Gallatin can't help you as much as you might need it. Don't you think that might put the employee in a little bit of an awkward position?
Well, the employee has to understand that they are an employee of Hendersonville. But we are a team, and it's just like if one of your coworkers comes and says, hey, I know you're really good at doing this, can you show me so that I can learn how to do it? You're going to say, sure, but you're not going to keep doing it for that employee all the time. You're going to train them and show them how to do it, and then you expect them to go back and do their job, so you can focus on your job. This is no different. Okay.
This is no different, but we are a team.
Okay, and I understand,
But it's not hiring an employee for Hendersonville that's going to work for all 5 libraries.
okay, okay, and I understand team, I completely get it. Okay, so in my opinion, I don't agree with those 2, positions. In my opinion, if we're, one, again, you said that the Hendersonville needs to go back to paying their own invoices, and they did it before without admin support. And,
Well, before, there was an assistant director
Okay.
and a director.
okay,
Okay, so those 2 positions shared those responsibilities.
okay, and they're no longer assistant director?
They're no longer assistant director.
Okay, so then why don't we go back to assistant director and director
Well,
instead of admin support and
But I don't care what you call them. I mean, although I will tell you that finance is concerned sometimes of looking to management heavy.
Okay,
So that's why I called it for this purpose, administrative support. Because they're gonna do lots of things without having the title of putting a director, assistant director, or assistant manager, or something behind it.
okay, so Westmoreland, who needs and is begging for a full-time position, we're only giving them, let me make sure, $20,000?
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And
The justification for that is the only library that has 2 full-time children's librarians, which I know their programming is ramping up, but the only library that has 2 full-time children's librarians is Hendersonville.
Okay.
And if no other library has 2. Westmoreland circulation is very, very low compared to Hendersonville, or compared to any of the other libraries except maybe Millersville. And so we want to give them some part-time help.
We cannot hire adequate part-time help without benefits, without a stable schedule. I had a part-time position that just came open, and it took us 6 weeks to fill it. And that was with me going into the newspaper, going into the public, posting it constantly, asking friends and family, and I finally got a high school senior. I need a full-time position to hire adequate help.
I'm so sorry, I mean, no disrespect, but we need to discuss it, and then we'll absolutely ask you for questions, so we can get to Robert's rules and go crazy, okay? So I appreciate it. And then lastly, I still am not understanding, because Gallatin is growing by leaps and bounds. And we're giving Hendersonville all this money, and no disrespect to Gabby at all, but I am still a little weary on transferring a position from Gallatin to Hendersonville when Gallatin is growing so fast. And as we stated before, and we know, the commissioners are not going to be giving any more money.
No.
Correct.
No.
So, Gallatin's going by leaps and bounds, and I can't justify, now we're giving Hendersonville all this money, now taking a position from Gallatin, giving it to Henderson.
Right, and if you remember, you were at the budget committee on Monday, whenever that was, the 23rd, and I asked Gabby and asked her, I said, you realize if you give up this position, you're not going to get it back, and the county is not going to give you any more money. And she said, I do not need it. This is a position that had been discussed with April when she was still here since last August, and the proper paperwork was not submitted for that money to get transferred. Alan's already hired this person, so if that money is not
Hendersonville, then he's got to let go of that person, because he did that based on what he thought was accurate with what he was told, and Gabby confirmed multiple times that she didn't need that person. Now, in this plan, it's giving her back $8,000 if she wants to add some extra part-time help and expand some of their hours. It's giving that to give her something for growth.
Okay. And last thing, and then I will surrender my time right now, is that, and I was there when she did say that, and I get what she's saying. However, okay, I'm just going, it still doesn't make sense to me because we're growing so fast. And I really feel that this might cause a problem in the future with Gallatin. And I know you're like, well, that's hers to deal with, but no, it'll come back to us having to deal with it, okay? So this isn't just the stuff at Gallatin, it will come back to us when they need money in the future, and then we're gonna have to try and find it somewhere. And I personally don't like to deal with things twice.
Right.
So,
Well, and I don't either, and there's not going to be any more money to get.
okay.
Because we know, just like I went to finance and I said, what is our COLA increase? And they said, it's not been decided. You need to submit your budgets the way that they are, and they'll figure that out later. So, but they're not going to come up and say, when we go and say we need another,
Okay.
I'm gonna put it on.
Okay, we're gonna stop just a minute. We're gonna stop just a minute, okay? I can tell you from dealing with this for years that we've not had an increase in years. So we've learned to live with that. It's not an issue up for discussion because they've not increased, the county has not increased the amount that we've had for years.
Okay, so I'm just gonna put on record, I am not for admin support, I'm not for technology specialists, and I'm not for transferring, Gallatin to Hendersonville, but because I'm trying to understand why we're not giving Westmoreland more money in all of this, so I'm just, I'll leave it at that for right now.
I am gonna say that I know Hendersonville's growing, I know Gallatin's growing, but if you look at the numbers that is coming into Westmoreland right now, the numbers that are coming into Millersville, and you look at their drawing area, and you look at Hendersonville and Gallatin, if you put that in percentages, Westmoreland and Millersville are serving their communities as well as Hendersonville. Because you think of all the people in Hendersonville that never come to that library. You think of all the people in Gallatin that don't use that library. But when you've got Westmoreland and Millersville, those communities look to their libraries for more than just services. They look for support. They look for a lot of different things.
Which is why I'm wondering why we can't put more money there.
Is that a possibility?
I don't think it's justified, and I don't want to be disrespectful to Warren, but you can't tell me that every position in Westmoreland is all full-time employment. There has got to be part-time help, and we're giving $20,000 because we're not taking the money that she was willing to give away, and we're giving her, which was $7,800, and we're giving her almost another $13,000. Circulation is really low. And now, I know that they have a program and it has a lot of people. If that's hard to manage, then divide it into two programs. Hendersonville had to do that. They had to they do the same program twice on Tuesdays and the same on Wednesdays. But if you don't have a lot of circulation, then the people that are working circulation can help oversee what's going on in the program. I mean, it's almost like and I know it sounds selfish, but we have to support, I think, where the majority of the business is, and where the community has been begging the city of Hendersonville has been begging and begging for Hendersonville to be open. They're willing now to put some money to it, and I think we have to do that. Their circulation is, 15 times greater than Westmoreland, but Westmoreland is a very, very important part of their community. It's just smaller. And so we're giving them, $20-some thousand, $20,000, $21,000 to hire part-time help. You can't just hire full-time help because it comes with benefits, and that just makes it extra costly.
But when you think about Hendersonville, Westmoreland being a bedroom, not exactly a bedroom community, but a lot of people have to go outside that community in order to get a job that they can support themselves.
Right.
So you've got a job in Westmoreland that's only part three, but one. It bears looking.
And
Then where would we take that from?
one of the new full-time positions that we're giving in Hendersonville. I mean, if you want to do admin support, make that full-time and add in technology in with that, because then we'll add that as the assistant director. And the assistant director is to pay invoices and to do social media. And then they can do that full-time. Now, maybe they won't have as much time to help the other libraries, but maybe they can, as a team, they would be like, hey, can you help me? But then we could take one of these full-time and maybe even give some of that money to Westmoreland to make a full-time, and then the rest of the money can be part-time social media help.
Alan? You had originally asked for 3 full-time, and I cut it down to 2, but gave you an extra part-time. Now she's wanting to take away give you 1 full-time, so help us.
Hold on a second, one second, because it's like she.
We got it,
Are we going to let them speak? We have shut them down before. Are we going to let them speak
But
now?
I think what we need to do is, we need to discuss this amongst ourselves first, before we start asking all kinds of other questions. So, does anybody have any thoughts on anything that I just said? And giving money to Westmoreland so they can get a full-time, because we are giving a lot of money to Hendersonville. And I think that we can figure out a way to get it open on Fridays with this $20,000 or whatever.
One of my thoughts on it is, I'm not sure about this administrative support system, the technology specialist, and who's formulating these job descriptions and information for these positions. So if that hasn't been done, and if, we're still discussing that, it's not in writing, no one has interviewed, no one has hired anyone, so.
And those job descriptions still need to be written.
So that then, and Westmoreland would just have this thrown at them. So I don't know how to think about that at this point, other than I'm not for either giving Hendersonville 2 brand new positions and funding them unbeknownst to the rest of the libraries and what their needs might be as well.
I just, she did bring this up, was it two meetings ago or last month? So she had brought this
And I
up.
guess just thinking about it now, with the scope of, but then we were still discussing, and still nothing has been, and it's like now, okay, now we're down to the dollars, so
we've got a couple of options.
Yeah.
We can, if we table it, it just kicks that can down the road,
Which I don't want to,
which I really don't want to do.
I'd like to get this to.
And if we table this one, we skip the discussion on how we're going to manage the management from, going from the one system, county system, not entire libraries, but that is system, then that has to be tabled as well.
Correct.
We can go on to the bylaws discussion and we can adjourn.
So,
So we really need
yeah.
to deal with this.
Yeah. So like I said, my thoughts are Gal can keep their position because I don't want to have to deal with this in the future. Okay? I believe that, yes, let's carve out enough money to give Westmoreland their full-time position because Hendersonville's getting a whole lot of money. And it's money that they wouldn't have had if we wouldn't have dissolved the system in the first place. So,
We only remember where the money came from, and for the system, they funded over half of that system.
Yeah.
So, you know, the majority of the money came from Henderson.
which, and
Hendersonville lost 3 quality full-time people when the system got created.
okay.
So we're just giving it
But
back.
we're giving them 2 full-time and 3 part-time.
Right.
Okay.
And they lost 3 quality full-time people when the system got created.
Okay. And, you know, we're dealing with lots of fallout, April not filing things and all this stuff. I know, all this stuff that they didn't follow through with.
No,
Okay. I hear what you're saying, and now we're in 2023, and I don't think that, in my opinion, carving out a small amount of money to give Westmoreland staff because they've lost money and all this stuff. You know, 2 full-time, 3 part-time, and again, I don't believe in admin support technology specialists.
So what would you like to call this? What would be your idea?
Well, I would take away one of the full-time or okay, first of all, okay, because you're the numbers person. Okay. How much money would we have to give to Westmoreland to get them a full-time position? How much?
I think that the lowest is probably around 26,000.
Because we're giving them, what was it, we're giving them how much? Around 20,000?
Yeah.
Okay, so on top of that 20,000, how much more will we have to give them for a full-time position?
I think the lowest full-time that I've seen in the system, full-time is around 31.
Okay, so 31.
So they need an extra.
What is it? 27 or 22.
Okay, so really that would be taking away one of the part-times for Hendersonville. Correct? Am I right?
No, I don't think a part-time is that.
The funds for part-time.
The part-time for part-time is $12,677.
Yeah.
So if we took away one of the part-time positions for Hendersonville, which is $12,670,000, geez, $12,667.20.
Yeah.
Right. And we gave that to Westmoreland, would that be enough money for a full-time position?
Maybe not.
What benefit?
Not with benefits.
Not with
Okay,
benefits.
that's why I'm trying to get the numbers, that's why I need to,
Well, and I don't know what the numbers are because I don't know if they've got a family or if they're a single plan or what they are. You have to figure the most that they're gonna come with a family, so that they would take a family package, is
Okay.
what I'm saying. But I don't know what those numbers are, finance.
okay, so you put in here for Hendersonville full-time is $35,412,
Right, and that's because I plugged that in there as like a highly skilled person.
Okay, so do you think it would cost more than $35,412 for a highly skilled person at Westmoreland?
That's That is payroll only, that's not with benefits.
Okay, so so how much would that be with benefits?
I don't know. Finance is the only one that knows benefit numbers. I know payroll numbers, but I don't
Okay.
know benefit numbers.
Okay,
Finance is the one that always does those.
okay. That's someone's right, question. The levels, does that come into your as well on this?
Like level 1, level 2. Yes, I did add some money for some of these libraries, thinking that there was some money in part of these, that some of the staff at a couple of the libraries, I believe, were not classified correctly. They were classified as level 1 when they should be a level 2, so there's some funds in there for that.
So then, with Westmoreland creating so if we change any of this around, so creating a full-time position at Westmoreland, are you telling me we couldn't come up with any numbers at this meeting?
I can tell you what payroll numbers would be.
Okay. Okay. Because that's what we're working with right now here, right?
But if we go out on a limb and commit, and then the benefit package changes, it still won't work.
Well, we're still dealing with that with our Hendersonville full-time position, right? Because we don't know what their benefit package is, right?
No, we don't.
So we're running the same risk right here. So why are we risking it all in Hendersonville and not in Westmoreland?
I'm just saying it's a risk either way.
What is the risk either way? We're risking it all in Hendersonville is what I see right now, right? If I'm missing something, please tell me.
Well, it's so much easier to add multiple part-time positions than full-time.
But you've added 2 in the Henderson.
I did because I gave them back what they lost. Because they lost, when the system was created, they lost 3 full-time quality staff members that was taken away from them.
Okay.
So trying to give back to what the libraries lost with the system, and also to allow Hendersonville to be open 6 days a week, which is the only library that will be open 6 days a week. And the mayor and the city of Hendersonville has been begging for that to happen, and they're willing to cough up some money to make it happen. That's what we do.
Can I ask a big question? So how much does Hendersonville need to be able to be open on Friday? What's the tipping point?
That's this plan right here.
So they need,
They need 2 full-time people and 3 part-time. He asked for 3 full-time and 2 part-time, and I cut it down so that other libraries could get some money as well, to 2 full-time and 3 part-time. So that's on that flat sheet.
They need all of that for one day.
You have to kind of schedule out though. Okay. Right now, like for instance, if you don't have any management, you've got to work in management, they have to work both nights. Their employees, and have to Saturday, which would allow them flexibility so that you don't have to have every person working every night like that.
Okay. But they originally asked for $20,000 raise, and then they asked the county to match it. Right? Honestly.
It's not on the budget committee.
Okay, so they asked Mary Clary for $20,000, and Mary Clary said if the county matches $20,000, we'll give you $20,000. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so all in all, they would have needed $40,000.
Right, and that's basically what we have written on this sheet. No, I'm sorry.
I was telling, that's way more than $40,000 right there.
Yes, because we were going to shift some other staff around. Okay. The problem is that the staffing right now of the full-time employees that work 40 hours, and they're already working 5 days a week. then they're gonna have to be off another day during the week, and people are gonna have to cover when they're off. You know what I mean? So it gets really complicated with trying to move those schedules around. But this really gets Hendersonville back, as far as their full-time people, it gets them back somewhat to what they lost without being open on Fridays. And it gives them some extra part-time to help for Fridays. And now, I'm not committed to these titles. I do think we need skilled people. And whether or not we call it admin support or we call it assistant director, but I can tell you that the county is not real high on adding management title names to positions.
Are there other job descriptions with a title that is already under that umbrella of other people in the county? Can you, without us creating new jobs with new job descriptions, find something else that's comparable, that's already in existence with a job description already there? Would that?
Probably.
Which would be
we can
easier to do
certainly go to IT,
than
and there's
recreating.
probably a
Yes.
job description in IT. I can work with HR and see what would be a comparable job description in a different department and see if we could get that job description from them.
Okay, $40,000 was the original ask, $20,000 from the city and $20,000 from the county. And just to clarify, was this asked during the system or before the system? Before. Okay, so this is asked before the
Before
system.
and during. And it
So this
was,
was,
It's been a constant.
right.
so they didn't have the money before the system was in place. Okay. So, if they didn't have the money for the system, and we're dissolving the system to go back to the way the Hendersonville and all of the libraries were, then how are we making up the money and shifting money now that Hendersonville has?
Because initially, what's happened between the first ask and now is the salary survey adjustment.
Okay. All right,
And that's why I think that the county has chipped in their portion for us to be open on Friday, but I went to ask Clary if he would still chip in his portion, and he felt very confident that they could make that happen.
But this is an ongoing, this will be budget year, budget year, budget year, budget year.
Yes.
And this is an extra $20,000 in addition year to year
Yes.
to year
so,
from
Hendersonville.
from Hendersonville. But can we, if we're not gonna get any more money, that $20,000 to dissolve it, and we've adjusted. But is that money gonna be there to adjust from now on?
yeah.
And I'm usually a, glass half full, but I'm tending to be a glass half empty.
Well,
yeah.
the budgets that we got, the budgets that came out for each library, and the budget for the system, okay? Those budgets are there, and they're not ever gonna take that money away, but it's not that they give us. The extra 20 coming from Hendersonville now there might be some extra money in the 20. I mean, Hendersonville's expenses are going to go up as far as operating expenses by opening an extra day and having to adjust the cleaning contract for an extra day. Okay, so there'll be some extra operating expenses there. know about Mayor Cleary until today. Okay, so we can, once he calls back and confirms, and that 20,000 would be there year after year after year.
It hasn't been confirmed yet.
He's gonna call back in 2 days and confirm.
Okay, so, and I like Mary Claire. But, so what you're telling me is this $20,000 is not a definite. I just want to make sure, because this is, you're in hope that in 2 days he calls back and says, yes, go ahead.
He felt very confident, but he said, I need to call back in 2 days to confirm. Give me 2 days to confirm.
Okay. Again, in my opinion, you know, I love Henderson, they're growing. I get that they wanted something for Fridays, but I think that they have a huge friends of the library fund along with Gallatin. I think that we're giving them a lot, and I think Gallatin should keep their thing, and I think that we should carve out some money for Westmoreland. So, because they are a rural area, and I grew up back in the sticks in the holler, okay, and it's hard when you're in the holler to go into the city. So, and work, and I don't know if y'all have heard Bill Lee wanting to do choice roads, but hopefully make everybody happy. And I'm not going to bank on $20,000 coming in 2 days.
No, so we probably need to table it. The other thing that I want to mention, though, is the person for the children's library for Hendersonville has been hired with the agreement that this money was being transferred.
And that's a
So
mess
what are we
that
going to do with
April, and
that?
that's a mess that April created along with Gabby's salary and other salaries, that then we take one of these full-time positions and make it a children's librarian.
There's a motion on the table. Are you proposing any amendments? Or because, are you proposing to vote this up or down? Or,
I'll propose an amendment. How's that? Can I
Okay.
just propose an amendment?
okay, and we can vote on that and vote it up or down,
Okay.
and then go back to this that's on the table.
Okay.
So let's hear what you have to say.
Make sure I got it all. Okay. All right, my amendment, is that Gallatin keeps their position, it not transfer to Hendersonville. That, Westmoreland, we figure out enough money for their full-time position. And one of the full-time positions that you have created here, that we make that the children's library, or we figure out in the money that has been given to Hendersonville for that full-time librarian position, correct? Is that what it was? Librarian position? So, I think that's one of that. And upon approval, the $600, make sure that Alan is okay with that, because that's coming out of his budget.
Discussion.
I think this needs to be tabled. I think the numbers, we need to wait and see what Mayor Cleary has to say, and then these numbers need to be reworked. With all these changes, I don't feel comfortable agreeing to anything right now.
Okay.
If we want to have another special call meeting towards the end of this month before it has to go to the budget committee in March, I think that would be wise. But I don't think we can vote on anything tonight. I think Alan also needs to be able to have an opportunity.
We all just got this today. and all. So I think we do need to look at it. What I'd like to see, my numbers person, is give us this one and the one that Joanne's looking at, and maybe even a third option if you can come up with it. And table it for right now, because we are getting the non-salary to go through.
We're getting that done.
So that's going to be taken care of.
Right.
And we can get the non-salary to go through. We can look at this and go from there. So if we can have at least two and a third, possibly a third one,
Right.
to look at. I also believe that, we've not let anybody talk, but we're doing this, and I've been from education, when they redrew zoning lines, and you've lived through this, somebody's sitting in an office drew an arbitrary line, and lives were destroyed.
Right.
So I don't want to be this person drawing these arbitrary lines.
Right.
And make it work, can't make it work.
Right.
So, yes, Ms. Bruce.
Okay, so first and foremost, just to kind of clarify for me, these numbers that we're talking about, our budget is July 1
Yes.
to June 30th. So this is, in essence, this rest of the year through the end of June, correct?
Not that. This is a full year for next year.
Okay, so starting on July 1st? So what would happen between now and July 1st?
That's what this other paper was.
That's just, I thought that was just moving the money.
Yes.
But that's moving the money through the end of June. And then we would start with a fresh budget July 1.
This is only.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
This is only for this year.
this sheet that I just pointed to, that's just dumping everything into Hendersonville right now so that he can start hiring people. And then this is what it would look like going forward.
Okay.
In July 1st.
So another question, if we don't do anything on the budget transfers on the payroll, is that what we're talking about, not doing anything on the budget of the payroll?
Right.
Okay.
I'm
So
suggesting another special call meeting at the end of February.
yes, is there any adverse impact to delaying that at this point that we
The
know
only
of?
issue that I think we have is the issue between Gallatin and Hendersonville.
Okay, so my feeling in listening to all of this is Gallatin keeps their position. Westmoreland gets a new position, and Hendersonville balances out the rest of that, subject to finalizing job description duties, combination of administrative, invoicing, social media, whatever. That's kind of what I've heard from this discussion, and my opinion is that seems like a very reasonable compromise, given the growth in Gallatin, Hendersonville, Westmoreland. Everybody's getting a piece of it. Not everybody's going to get the whole pie just because we've got such a huge county, we've got such diverse growth in that. I also, at some point, whatever is the appropriate method of doing that, would like to hear from the directors to make sure that we're getting their input before making any final budgetary decisions. So however that needs to be done, but I would like to see Westmoreland get their request completed. Gallatin keep that, just because if you ever go to the Gallatin City Council meetings, you know that they're pretty much approving anything that comes in front of them, so.
Maybe they'll get more money to the library.
Yeah, I don't know, yeah, and there's that. Maybe we need a library fee or something for all these new growth.
Beverly, okay, Beverly has a question, so we're,
Okay, clarification. We voted to transfer the money, right, for the
Non-salary.
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 So, that's taking care of the system that we're in right now, right?
Right, just zeroing it out as far as anything that's not payroll related.
Right. So, here's what I'm asking. If we've already done that, then can we vote on this, main thing we were talking about, the system, old system, new system, and so forth. Can we go ahead and do that, because we've taken care of that money. Then, like she said, I think we really need a time to sit down, talk about this, and we need to have time that we can talk with the directors.
Right.
And so I would like to, if it's okay, I think it'd be good for us to table this.
I do too.
If we can just move on to do this other, and then we'll have.
There's no reason why we can't go ahead and dissolve the system, which I think is what you're saying.
Right.
Yeah.
And to vote to dissolve it, but we can table
This is
this.
next year's budget.
Well, it is next year's budget, but we also need to zero it out.
Okay.
What's remaining,
That's
we
what
need
I
to
mean.
move it, we need to move it somewhere, but we don't have to agree tonight. We can table it and have a special call meeting, just so that we can come up with a plan and make sure that before March 1st, we get all the documents to the county budget committee.
Yes, and I think that even having a special call meeting where we can have the directors take a look at what we propose and then give us their input.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
And since we have shut them down today, they still we need their voice, we need their input.
Absolutely, yeah.
Because if they're
I'm like trying to figure this out. Everything else coming at me.
Right. Well, and then in a couple of days, I should hear back from Mayor Clary, and then we'll know that we have that money to add to the pot.
How long do you need to get those proposals, this one and the other two, after you hear from Mayor Clary? How much time will
If
you
he gets
need?
back to me in a couple of days, it's not gonna take too long. I mean, if we meet somewhere around something in the early 20th
I
of
was
the month.
looking at 2 weeks from today, at this point, if we can't get this room, Dallas.
2 weeks from now.
2 weeks.
2 weeks is fine.
So, and
Whatever date that is.
I can call in the morning, see if this room's available. If it's not, we can set up it, we can come to Gallatin.
No,
And
I have a question, Maria.
Okay.
Question. We want to make sure that this goes before budget, which is March 13th, right?
Well, the thing we passed tonight, that we can take before the budget because it's passed.
No, I
The
think that's
non-salary.
February 13th. But I'm saying all the non-salary stuff has to go before March 13th, which is the next budget.
Non-salary does not.
No,
Sorry,
non-salary.
salary. Salary stuff has to go before budget, and the next budget meeting would be March 13th.
Right, and we have to have all of our paperwork by March 1st.
I know, it's because it's in between days, 13th and 13th.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, so my question with that is, I guess we can do 22nd, but I was just saying, March 8th is our next meeting, which is before the budget. So why are we doing a special card?
Because we have to have the paperwork into the budget committee
By
to
March
get on the
1st.
agenda, probably, maybe even by the end of February.
Right.
Okay, that's,
So we
we
need
have
on
that
the-
clarification.
And with that,
Because I think it has to be in 2 weeks
Oh.
ahead of time. It has to be in 2 weeks ahead of time.
That's being 2 weeks ahead?
Yeah, so that's something towards the end of February, since February is so short.
Okay, then it has
The
to be by
22nd
March
is
27th.
a Wednesday, if you
Okay.
keep it on.
Okay.
so the easiest thing is to have it same time, same room, same place, 2 weeks from today.
Yes, perfect.
If we can
to
get
wait the 2 weeks, and the reason that I'm asking is because whatever decision is made, then there has to be the time to kind of pull that together, to get the paperwork, to get to the county, and, you know, if it's the 22nd and March 1st is a week later, I mean, is there a reason, do we need to wait 2 weeks, or do we want to try to aim for a week sooner with the 15th, so both the, no?
Because
Okay.
if Clary gets
Well,
back
it's
to me
gonna
like,
take-
I'm not gonna have time to
Yeah,
run.
I was gonna say, at least 2 days,
Appreciate it.
get this to the 10th with Mayor Clary. And then you would need 13, 14, couple of days in there, you may have to go back to finance
Right.
to run, you know, especially if you're going from a half-time to a
And then
full-time
I
with
want to
benefits.
give directors time to look
For
at
them
it.
to look at this
so that
as
they
well.
can compare for.
Yeah, because as soon as I can get them prepared, I can mail them out, I can email them out to
Get them out.
everybody.
Mhm.
Okay,
So if, so,
February 22nd?
But what we've got to do, we've got an amendment on the table.
Okay.
We had a motion for an amendment. Do I hear a second? Then that dies. Okay, I've got a motion on the table for this one, and we had a second, so we're gonna have to vote it up or down. Or we can vote to table it.
Table it.
Okay, we'll table it.
Okay, so I had an amendment for
What you proposed.
what I proposed.
Did we get a second?
You get a second on
So
that
it
amendment.
falls, it fails.
Right, okay. So
Okay.
then we'll go back to this.
This one,
Now, my question is that after we
if
table
we
it,
vote yes or no, we're killing it completely. If if I table it, then we're okay.
we're tabling.
So we're gonna table it. Okay.
Okay, and I can bring up all that stuff again.
We're looking at the 22nd.
Okay.
But in the meantime, I hate to put all this on you, but you're our numbers person, so bringing back this original proposal, something similar to what Joanna proposed, and a third one, you know, if there's another way to do it. Then on the special call, we're going to include the managers because they've had a time to look at this. And take their input from this. And we may end up tabling it again, who knows? But
Hey, don't put that out there.
Don't put what?
Put that out there that we might table it.
No.
Let's not put that out there. Okay, we gotta get this system straight.
But,
Okay, so now we can.
move on. Okay. So, now that I've shuffled all these papers around, we'll find the next item on the agenda, which is the discussion and possible vote to dissolve the bookkeeping and management system of the way the libraries work.
Yes.
And not the libraries themselves. So we're just looking at the bookkeeping and management system of the way that they work.
Yes.
So, and be very, you know, and just make sure that we understand exactly what we're voting on. Okay.
I motion to dissolve the library system and take it back to 5 separate library directors as it was before the library system was put in place. I second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Okay. We will, I'll ask for a voice vote if we need to. We can go back for a individual vote. But all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. So our bookkeeping system for the libraries is now going back to the way it was prior to August of 2021.
Right.
Okay. So just,
Well, that's it.
I just,
May we ask a question?
yes.
What point are we taking over doing our invoices again, and can we get training on that system?
You absolutely
If you have
can.
ever tried Munis, it's horrendous.
Yes, you will get training. I will call finance and find out how quickly they can train you, and then we'll put something out.
So until then, just see.
Technically, in Cindy's job right now, is she still getting paid?
Yes, yes.
Because it's, the payroll is still, that's under, that's still there and it's still under finance. And
That's what will be decided on February 22nd.
Diane, I'll sit with you and we'll try to get an agenda together real quick on that. Okay, the next one, presentation and brief, because we need to get out of here.
Yes.
We're 30 minutes later than our sweetheart of a,
We gotta start bringing him some things.
I know, or, yeah, making it take, because he is a sweetheart and he's so patient with us. But we do need to get out of here. So a brief discussion of the bylaw. We finished them Monday afternoon and looked at them, and we just got them out last night, so, but the, advantage we have here, look at them, because in March they'll be discussed again. There can be some changes made in March, And then in April, we're gonna have to call a special call meeting in order to vote on those. So we can't vote on them in March. We can still just discuss them. Because the old bylaw says 30 days that you have to look at them. And from today until March the 8th is 28 days. So we've got to have, and we've got the roundtable discussion in April, so we can do that real quick. So, but, I did find a mistake that we need to come up and at least do that. But do I have a motion to get it on the floor? Joanne makes the motion, Diane seconds the motion. Okay. There was just one quick one that when I read over it quickly, and that was on Article 3, board members. At the top of page 2, it says the word 3 is there, and then 2 in parentheses from Hendersonville. And it needs to be 2.
Well, and underneath it, the at-large is the reverse.
Yes. And then, yes. And this is brain research. When you know you're doing it right, and you know what you're doing, your brain doesn't see mistakes. That comes from a long line of brain research.
Okay.
So,
All right.
that's the only thing I really saw that stuck out to me, so we can make that change, because we can make that change, we don't have to vote on it, we can get it corrected, and we've got time to work on
Do
it.
you want, if we have comments throughout, do you want me to send them in a narrative to you?
Yes, because when you get it even as a PDF file, you can highlight and put notes on the side.
Do you want me to do that?
Can you just send it to all of us? And just send it to everybody? Yeah.
And that way we can...
And do that, y'all can do that too. I think what you send it too. So, yeah, you can even if it's a PDF, I can try to send it out again in Word.
Yeah, send it out in Word.
I will try to send it out in Word. And that way, if you do, and
You want me to send it in a Word?
yes. Well, no, it's on Mac, so it's gonna convert it to Pages anyway. So I can take this copy from Pages, and I can convert it to Word and send it out.
Oh, you can.
Yeah, my Mac will do that, so. If it doesn't, let me know, then we'll drop back in front. Anyway, we can look at this, like you say, I will get this copy, I think the one we had noticed is the one on the website, I will send it to them to get this. I don't think I've seen it, I haven't sent it to technology yet to get it posted. I've got the first copy we worked on.
Right. And I sent the second copy.
You sent it to technology? No, you sent it to me. No, I haven't sent that one to technology yet.
Okay.
The original one is still on the website, so we'll get this copy on the website and go from there so that we can.
And this copy is the one that I sent to you Monday night, right? That's all I...
Yes, this is the one, except for the two that we and I
printed the new one off.
Yeah, I'll print it, this is the one we sent.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'll change that, I'll make those changes with you in the 30 minutes.
Send it to me, and I will get that copy on the website, so everybody can see it.
When it gets into Word, can we, in the footer, put in page number blank of blank, like 1 of 7, or 1 of 12, or whatever it is?
Add a footer to it.
Add a footer, but then also the revised date, so that ultimately, when it does get revised, it'll have on there when it was looked at?
Yeah. No problem.
I just have a couple other comments
Okay.
regarding all of this table stuff.
Okay.
The directors are all working on their budgets right now, and those budgets have to be turned in on March 1st. So I will be sending out to each director a lump sum that will be all non-payroll that you will add to your budget. So like if I tell you to add $5,000, I'm not going to tell you where to add it. You can just scrutinize and you know where you want to put that $5,000 on all those different line items within your
Who's
budget.
deciding how much each library gets? Do we not get any say in that at all?
It's based on, I'm going to base a lot of it on what you just asked for with all these other transfers, because obviously you were short in those areas. But I have to take the amount that was in the library system to begin with for a full year and then try to...
You decide completely, though.
Well, if you've got a problem with it, come and ask me, but I'm gonna try to get it as fairly as possible based on where you lost money or basically on where you need it to have money added back to your account. Yes.
Is that something, though, that would come before the board for us to approve what money is going?
We can talk about it on the 22nd.
Okay. Because, just, you know, I just want to make sure that, you know, everything followed.
Right, but then also these payroll dollars, they're also going to have to get added somewhere into the library. So it's very important that on the 22nd that we decide, because I don't have to send in all those extra transfer sheets. They just need to add the dollars. I just have to submit the library system worksheet with all zeros,
Okay.
and that money has to be added to the different
So when it
libraries.
goes to zero, it has to go somewhere. Okay.
So just to clarify, on the 22nd, we're going to talk about this, and then you're also going to tell us the money that you think you're going to give to each of the libraries.
Yeah, and it'll be based on all of those transfers that they all ask for. Okay. So that they can make it, but then we'll try to, because I already had part of it, now they just need the other half of it, you know.
And on this special call meeting, we at some point, well, to give the managers a chance, we can vote to suspend the rules, and we will let them talk, and we will have a discussion, so.
Well,
along
can you
the
just
way.
put on there, allow time for them to talk on the special call agenda?
I can, but we can put it intermittent, but I like for it to be intermittent, not just at the first.
Right.
Not having to say it, I would like to have a discussion, so at some point, we can vote to suspend the rules and let them speak.
Right, gotcha.
So that's probably the way we'll approach it from there. Okay. If there's not anything else, do I please have a motion to adjourn? So moved. Thank you. Beth, do I have a second?
Yes, second.
And Ruth, second. And we are adjourned.
Awesome, thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Right, we need to hit
Diane,
stop.
thank you so much for all